It's good to be here. We've got a full lineup of agronomic stuff, so I wanted to share with you guys a journey that I've been on, a personal journey that I've been on the last few years, that as I reflected on this personal journey, it had a lot of similarities to the journey that we've been on with NutraDrip. And a little bit about my background: I've worked for Netafim for about 10 years, and then just this past year, within the past year, have joined the NutraDrip team. So been very involved with the agronomic side of NutraDrip for 12 years. So really excited to be a part of the growth, be a part of the journey. Some of the things that we did well, some of the things that we learned from, but evolved into something different. So wanted to spend a little time sharing some personal things that hopefully make sense as we look forward, with our speakers today, but also as we make some changes and evolve as a business. So. Here we are. So I wanted to talk about myself, and again, this is not easy for me, but I wanted to talk about some of the things that's happened to me in the last 5 or 6 years. That's me on the left and me on the right. The guy on the left, that's my youngest daughter that graduated college. So my baby girl graduated college, and I had a big birthday the next year, and it was a realization that I needed to change. And so some of the things that I was reflecting on as I had to make this commitment was I had a lifetime of bad choices. I was always running hard, always trying to do too much, and my personal side, my health was sacrificed from some of those lifetime of bad choices. When I woke up and recognized that I was treating the symptoms of my bad health rather than treating the cause of my bad health. When I woke up in the morning and through the day, I was taking a fistful of pills. I took blood pressure medicine, cholesterol medicine, diabetic medicine, you name it. I was having to eat all that stuff just to keep things monitored and keep things in the right place. And I wasn't treating the cause, and the cause was the size of that guy on the left. So went through a commitment, and I looked within myself to say I need to start measuring. And I just met a lady at that point in my life that was exceptionally disciplined. She tracked everything. She's a Weight Watchers, lifetime Weight Watchers person, and she tracks everything that she does, not just the quantity, but the quality of the food, and it made me think of what we talk a lot about with drip irrigation and with plant testing and soil testing, and we need to measure everything. Until we understand exactly what we have, it's really hard to make the changes. We need to measure then manage. You've probably heard us talk about measure then manage a lot. So I recognized that I needed to do that, and that was really difficult for me. I had a really hard time tracking everything, but the hardest part was admitting some of the mistakes that I was making. So measure then manage is certainly one of those things that I recognized that I needed to do better. And with drip irrigation and doing better with the crop and understanding the plant, measure and manage is the right route to go. The other thing that I was doing was I was confusing my metabolism. That's what some of the folks that I was talking to about. What that means is I wasn't eating breakfast. I would go all day long. If I was busy out in the field, I would go all day long, and I'd come in to town at 10 o'clock at night, and I was so hungry I'd eat anything that you put in front of me. So I was making bad food choices, and I was only eating once in a day. And what the experts told me I was doing was I was confusing my body. You know, way back thousands of years ago when we were hunter-gatherers, we would hunt, we would kill something, and then we would eat on that and stuff ourselves, and then our body didn't know whether it was going to get another meal in a few hours, or it was going to be a few days or a few weeks till we got something to eat. So your body, if it doesn't get regular meals, then it will store. And that guy was storing a lot. So I was in that store mode, and I was confusing my metabolism. So one of the changes I had to make was, even though I wake up in the morning and I'm not hungry, I have to have breakfast. I have to eat regular meals. And again, that's a great lesson in what we can do with drip irrigation. We feed our plants when they want to eat and the quantity of what they want to eat. And oftentimes we don't have to have so much. We can have smaller meals and metabolize that through. So there's a lot of parallels to what we're trying to do with drip in this meeting your metabolism and creating the correct metabolism. The other thing was eating the right stuff. Again, I would just eat whatever you put in front of me. And the experts told me I need 50% of my diet protein, 25% carbs, 25% green stuff. And when you do that, it's remarkable what your body can do for you. So again, feeding the plant the right stuff at the right time. And then there's no silver bullet in this. I tried 5 different programs. I did Weight Watchers, low carb, what do they call it, intermittent fasting. I tried a lot of different things. Several of them worked great, but were difficult to maintain. So I went through a lot of different things, and I learned a lot. That was the big thing, was I learned a lot of lessons about what I needed to be doing and captured the right stuff. And as I reflect back on the journey that we've been through with NutraDrip, I've been through with NutraDrip, is we've learned a lot, and each time we've taken what we've done in the past and improved on it, and that's kind of something that we're doing right now and today, and that's a big part of what we're doing today, is to take a lot of the good things that we've learned and improve on them. And that's been my journey personally, and I think there's a lot of opportunity for us to also improve on what we've learned. And again, continuous monitoring is a big part of what I do. Every 6 months I have to take a battery of blood tests, 20 different blood tests to check everything. And I liken that to the sap testing that you're going to learn about later on. It's almost the blood of the plant. It's the sap of the plant. And so, again, there's a nice parallel to what we're evolving towards with the NutraDrip program. And again, if you can't do the math, or it's too early in the morning to do the math, I'm exactly half the man I used to be. And I can brag about that. Sometimes that's not a good thing, but I am half the man. So what's the reward for me? And what's the reward for all of us as we evolve? For me, I've been able to do a lot of things that I could never do when I was the big guy. And one of them that I did these are all things that I did last year in 2024 that I just really transformed the person that I've become. I did a Tough Mudder. If anybody's heard of a Tough Mudder, it's you go through and you do 10 different obstacles, and most of them have to do with mud. You get down on your belly and you crawl in the mud underneath the barbed wire like the military guys do, or you crawl over top of walls, or go underneath the cold water, or whatever. It's a lot of obstacles that you do as a community. It's not timed, it's not placed. It's the whole idea is overcoming obstacles that you're facing in life. And the Tough Mudder is an example of that. Got to do that with my son, who's the guy in the middle, and my son-in-law on the right. So we had a great time doing it together, and I would have never been able to do that. That's one of the rewards for what I've been able to do. Here on the right is my wife and I. We climbed a 14er, a mountain that was over 14,000 feet. And incidentally, the journey that I was on, it takes tremendous support from home. And that young lady helped me a tremendous amount. And together we climbed a 14er, and along with some other family and friends. But we had a great time, and I never would have been able to tackle anything like that. The last one at the bottom is a group of our family. My wife's a runner, and I ran my first race. And I didn't just run a little ways and walk a lot and run a little ways, which is what I had done previously when I was 400 pounds. I ran the entire race start to finish without walking at all. It wasn't a great time, but I accomplished it, and I was really happy that I could do that. And again, it's a reward, or it's the yield in the end that makes it so special for me. And sorry if I got too sappy and too personal, but there's a lot of parallels to what we're doing here at NutraDrip with the drip irrigation with NutraDrip. I'll leave you with one quote, and this came from the Tough Mudder. It said, "When is the last time you did something for the first time?" Think about that. When's the last time you did something for the first time? It's about constant improvement. When have you reached out and tried something new? You know, we all have to take risks in life, and you know, my journey was a risk, and it's been very rewarding. And I think what we're doing here is also a risk. Everything is always a risk, but there's a lot of reward potential with it. So appreciate you letting me share some personal stuff with you, and I'm excited about our journey with NutraDrip. So again, I'll ask you, in 2025, will this be the year for you to do what? Is there something that you can do for the first time in 2025? Try something new. Come on board with us as we make good partnerships with the guys that you're going to hear talking today. The Calibrated Agronomy group is going to talk about a couple different things that we're really excited about. We've been taking soil samples and finding out what we have in the soil. We understand that the quality of water that we add with the irrigation has an impact on the nutrient availability, but we've never really been able to quantify that very well. And we're excited to be able to combine the two, the soil and the water, and make a paste and understand what is available to the plant. The plant takes the nutrients up through the roots, up through the soil water. It doesn't have teeth on it. It can't chew it. It brings it up through the soil water. So the water has a tremendous impact on the water quality, and the guys from Calibrated will talk about that. They're doing, that's what they call the rapid soil test, combining water and soil. And then sap sampling, like I talked about before, it's kind of like a blood test, but they'll get into more details of what it is and how many metrics that we can learn and do. And there's going to be a lot to this. This isn't going to be an easy journey, but I think there's a lot of reward to it. It's a little bit like my weight loss journey. It wasn't easy, but there's a lot of reward to it. They're going to talk also about products and solutions, and that's one of the reasons why we partnered with Calibrated, is we can offer the solutions, but also put some products with it. The Redox group we're really pleased that Darren could make it to visit with us. And he's going to talk about a new concept for me the first time I heard him, and it really helped to kind of connect some dots that I've never been able to connect before. Plant charge balance. What is it and why is it important? Darren's going to get to talk about that, and I'm excited to hear it again. Each time I listen to him, I learn something. So, also, I have a couple slides in here about the Go Guru probes. Brett's here. Brett's leading our group with Go Guru and the Ear Watch. Pierre is here. Pierre is leading our Ear Watch, and I'll talk just a little bit about that. I want to keep that in front of you. Those are some other ways that we're measuring and managing. So we're excited to continue to utilize that and continue to improve that offering. So I'll ask one more thing. How can we help you? We need your feedback. We need to understand what good that you're getting from us, as well as how can we improve to do a better job. So I do have a couple of slides that I wanted to share with you. This is precision planting. Many of you guys use precision planting pieces and parts on your planter, or I see some people shaking their heads. Precision planting has a research farm in northern Illinois, or central Illinois, that we've had the pleasure to work with for going on 6 years now. And the group there has done a lot of work with water and nutrient, and they do every year a minimum of 60 different research projects at this farm. Some years it's 80 or more, but every year in the last 5 years that we've been working with them, they've had at least 60. And they make, from that, they publish a top 10 best return on investment of the products that they're testing. And we have had the pleasure, and this is 2024 results, what's the top 10 best ROI? NutraDrip is number 1, corn high management and soybean high management number 2 and number 4 in 2024 also include drip irrigation. It's using drip irrigation as the delivery of nutrients as well as water. And this is the 5th year in a row that we've had at least 3 of the top 5 best return on investment with drip irrigation, with the NutraDrip, with the combined water and nutrients. So it's great to see the kind of results. This is a decent environment. This is the Illinois environment. They don't have as many challenges maybe as you and I have further west, but at the same time, there's a huge ability to grow return on investment and grow higher yields by utilizing the nutrient delivery and the water delivery with drip irrigation. So it's exciting for me to be able to report this again. Every year we brag about it. This is the 5th year in a row, and we're really excited to be a part of that. It's a great agronomic team that Jason Webster and his group have, precision planting, and it's always fun to work with them. The other thing that I wanted to share with you, we do a lot of grower side-by-sides or grower agronomic tests. And this is a grower up in North Bend, Emmanuel Farms. And they did a test this past year using a PEC acid, which is a really low pH phosphoric acid, 0-60-20, low pH. It's very acidic-based phosphorus and potassium. And we can accomplish a number of things with this type of a product. We can bring the pH down so it allows those nutrients, the P and K, to be more available to the plant in their soil environment. It also, because it brings the pH down, what's there in the soil, some of the other nutrients can become more available. And the third benefit of this type of an approach with a low pH product is it helps to keep the dripper clean. You know, it's kind of almost a clean out or an acid flush that you may use and utilize in your program. So it's got several benefits. But the Emmanuel's did in soybeans, they did 2 applications of the PEC acid and got great results. A 10 bushel increase. You know, they had one block that they did this and another block that they did not do it. And there was a really good result, a 10 bushel increase. So we're really excited. It was a weighed with a weigh wagon, so we know it's really good. Did a similar test on corn in a field right next door. And it's maybe hard to see, I apologize, it's dark, but 3 applications of this, not a large quantity, 3 applications of it, and we got no yield results. We were able to track a jump in the tissue test of the phos and potassium based on the application of the product, but it was frustrating that we didn't get as good a results on the corn as we did on the soybeans. That's part of our frustration. That's part of the things that we think we're going to learn with some of our new partners is we're going to measure things just a little bit differently and try some things a little bit differently. And our hope is that we'll have more consistent results. You know, we accomplished one of the things that we were after in the corn, and that was we brought the tissue level up, but it didn't translate to yield. So it was frustrating. So we're hoping to learn more with our new partners, and we're committed to utilizing these type of products because of all the multiple reasons to apply them. We're excited about that. However, we want results more often. So the other explanation that I have as an agronomist, we had done some work with Kansas State with some phosphorus through drip about 10 years ago, and we applied it early in the plant's life. I mean, we were applying the phos prior to V6, and then around about V8, V10, and then at VT. We were looking at the development stages when we were determining girth around. That's the early one. The middle one was determining kernel length, and then of course tassel time was the reproductive time, the time that's very critical for the corn plant. And we were able to get 3 years in a row, we were getting 20 bushel increase each time. So perhaps we didn't get that phos on early enough. We started at V11 with the first one, and then VT was the second one, and then into the R stages was the third one. So the timing maybe wasn't right for the corn. So that's another explanation, but we're going to try some other things and try and learn from this. But I guess the bottom line and the take-home message from this is we really like what the phosphoric acid kind of products can bring to us, but we're frustrated that we can't measure some of the things to get the consistent results that we really want, like we did in the soybeans. So excited about some of the partners that we have moving forward. So another thing I wanted to spend a little time talking about is I came across at one of the meetings this winter at the Total Acre Conference, listened to some Pioneer guys talk, and they've done 13 years of global research on corn, comparing different yield levels, and the yield level that they're looking at is below 150 bushel yield level, 150 to 200 bushel yield level, 200 to 250, and then above 250. What kinds of impacts are we making, and what are some of the things that we can learn from what I will call kind of the newer genetics? This is the past 13 years, so it's the newer genetics. What's different about the newer genetics? Are they different at different yield levels? And this is specific to nitrogen are mostly specific to nitrogen work that they're doing that I want to highlight. So a couple things that I have circled, I apologize, there's a whole bunch of stuff on here, but did we have a kernel number change when we went from 150 bushel corn to 250 and above? The answer is yes. From 150 to 200, we had a nice jump in kernel numbers. So the ear's getting bigger, which kind of makes sense. But above 200, it really wasn't that much different. It was about the same. So in 200 bushel and higher, and this is in a lot of observations. This is 300 to 1,000 observations, so a lot of data that they did these counts. So the other thing that I think is probably the most important on this slide, and the take-home message is, what about weight? What about kernel mass? What impact do we see as we get into the higher yield levels? Where's the difference? What kind of difference can we make, and what kind of difference is trending when we go to the higher yield level? And kernel mass is certainly one of those things. You know, quite low in the lower yield levels, and it kept growing, and it was even from 200 to 250 and up past 250. There's even still a nice jump in kernel mass. So that's grain fill. That's test weight. That's something that we understand those hybrids like to push higher test weight, and that's something that we have great control over with our drip system. We can impact that late. So one last thing, the kernels per bushel. If any of you guys ever do the yield estimation tools, I'm one of those guys that I'm always curious. I always want a report card, so I'm out there counting kernels. And you go through that formula and you ask yourself, okay, so which kernel number per bushel do I need to use to get an accurate yield estimate? And in the low yield environment, it's 100,000 kernels. As you get higher yield environments, 200 to 250, 75,000 kernels, and below 70,000 kernels. So the kernels are getting more dense, and it takes fewer kernels to make that bushel weight, that 56-pound bushel weight. So again, there's a little bit of a hint here that these modern hybrids really like that late activity and that late push that we can provide. So this is another slide that kind of brings that out, and I draw you to when is it taking up nitrogen? When is it uptaking nitrogen? So this slide talks about the percentage, and don't get caught up in the numbers. The point I'm trying to make is from the nitrogen that it takes up through tassel, and then from tassel through grain fill. We always used to, from the uptake charts, University of Illinois, all the uptake charts that we look at, we often think about, well, I need to have about 75-80% of my nitrogen on by tassel time, and then 20-25% afterwards. And that's true of the lower yield levels. Again, the 150, 150 to 200, I'm at that 80% level. But as I get higher yield levels, I'm getting that plant wants more late nitrogen. It wants more late nitrogen to push for that higher test weight, push for that more dense kernel. And at the 250 bushel and higher yield levels, it's asking for almost half of its nitrogen. So it's closer to 50-50. And I'm talking about specifically about nitrogen, but there's also a lot of other things that will impact the nitrogen. And you're going to hear a lot more about that today from some of the other speakers that are going to talk about how can I do a better job of maybe applying less nitrogen and creating an environment for the plant so it can be more efficient. So it's not only maybe thinking about applying more nitrogen later, it's having an impact later in its stage of growth to impact yield. So does that make sense? I want to target that later. And one of the things I ask myself, is it strictly the, getting more nitrogen as it mineralizes out of the organic matter? And that's not necessarily the case. The organic matters aren't changing. So again, the take-home message is the late season nitrogen uptake from the soil, and this is separated from that remobilization. A corn plant will store a bunch of its nutrients in the lower leaves and then remobilize it to the year later on. They took that out, and this is strictly what it takes from the soil. So this is an impact that we can make with our drip system as a delivery mechanism. So again, the summary, got to push the right button, sorry. The summary I've got circled. So late season nitrogen uptake from the soil, rather than depending on remobilization, is a key factor, a noticeable feature of high yield environment corn. That's what we're after. Understanding when it wants to eat and understanding when I want to be the most efficient with my inputs by making sure I have the right plant charge balance or have the right combination of products out there so I can utilize that later. Does that make sense? It was a great lesson. So I didn't see what that is. 4 minutes, 5 minutes. Thank you. You have the light behind you, Marissa, so I couldn't tell. So I'm going to take just a couple more minutes and talk about the Grow Guru and the Ear Watch. And like I said, Brett, you were introduced to Brett. He's our Grow Guru guy, and Pierre is our Ear Watch guy. So if you have a chance to ask him any questions that you have today, or for those of you guys that are online, those are your two key guys. Your salesperson, myself, are also a part of the team. So anybody on our team, we are going to be able to help you with either the probes or Ear Watch. We've selected these two tools because we feel like it can help us to do a better job of delivering the plant what it needs. Again, if you haven't heard, the Go Guru probe is a permanent probe. We put it in. It's a 5 to 7 year life on the probe, and it communicates wirelessly to an above ground communication unit that goes to the cloud. You move that out of the way when you plant, put it back, move it out of the way when you harvest or spray or whatever, if you can't go over top it with the sprayer. And the benefits of the permanent probe is, again, it's easy to do. It calibrates itself only once. So we have the year that we put it in, it calibrates itself, and we get it calibrated, but once you have it, you have that every single year. You don't have to take it out, put it back in, recalibrate it, question whether it's right or not. It calibrates once and it stays. And having some off-season information is also really nice. What is my moisture recharge? What do I look like? Do I need to pre-water? Those kinds of things. It has a real benefit to understanding full season water. The Ear Watch goes hand in hand. One of the downsides to a soil moisture probe, it's great because it's right in an area and it can tell us every 30 minutes what's going on, not just at in one level, but multiple levels. A probe does a great job of that. What it doesn't do is tell me what the soil moisture is in the zone next to me or over in the back part of the field. The Ear Watch has the ability to take what we know about that one spot and use that as a reference point, and you can look at the rest of the field with the Ear Watch. So this is just an example of the readout, the day and night, consumption of water, and then we'll give you a target to stay between field capacity and refill point. Keep your irrigation in between those 2 points. And then we also will look at where's that plant consuming water, and where it's getting the water, it's also getting the nutrients. So, and we'll have trainings. Brett will lead trainings, and we'll have trainings, webinars for you guys that have them. So we really are excited about offering the Go Guru and the Ear Watch the same way. The real benefit to Ear Watch, again, is taking a known spot with a probe and pushing that out into the rest of the field and understanding the differences in the different zones. I didn't talk about price. The Go Guru, the first year is $19.50 and then $9.95 every year after that. With Ear Watch, it's $4.50 an acre. And if you buy a Go Guru probe, your first year of Ear Watch is at no cost. So again, we're excited to offer both of those together. We think it gives us a good seamless solution. And again, we're going to do webinars. Pierre will do webinars. We'll be doing webinars through the year to help you to understand what's going on with your Ear Watch as well.